The billionaire froze in his chair, eyes locked on the hidden camera screen, as a truth unfolded that threatened to shatter everything he believed about control. Daniel Brooks was a man feared for his sharp decisions and cold nature, someone who trusted money more than people and power more than emotions. Behind the walls of his luxurious home, suspicion had quietly grown as expensive meals kept disappearing without any clear explanation or proof. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. His doubt had one target, a young maid named Maya, quiet and unnoticed, someone he believed was taking advantage of his silence. In another room, an old, fragile man named Robert Hayes lay weak on a bed, forgotten by the world that once respected him deeply. Daniel had installed hidden cameras everywhere, determined to catch Maya in the act and prove that his instincts were never wrong. But what the footage revealed was not theft, not greed, but something far more unexpected that slowly disturbed his certainty. Maya entered Robert's room softly, carrying a small bowl, her movements careful, as if every second mattered for the man's survival. She sat beside him and began feeding him gently, whispering calming words, treating him with a warmth that felt deeply personal. Daniel leaned forward, confusion spreading across his face, unable to match what he saw with the accusations he had already made. At that moment, a quiet crack formed inside his pride, as the story he believed started falling apart before his own eyes. Daniel replayed the footage again and again, his sharp eyes scanning every detail, searching for proof that his earlier accusation was not a mistake. Maya's hands moved slowly and carefully, making sure each spoon reached Robert safely, her focus steady as if nothing else mattered. Robert's weak eyes stayed half open, but whenever Maya spoke softly, a faint calm appeared on his face, showing silent trust. Daniel felt something strange inside his chest, a discomfort he could not explain, as if the truth was turning against him quietly. He had expected to see greed and dishonesty, but what he saw instead was patience, care, and a quiet act of sacrifice. The food he believed was stolen was not being wasted, but used to keep someone alive who had no strength left to ask. Maya gently wiped Robert's mouth, adjusting his pillow with care, her actions filled with a respect that felt deeply personal. Daniel leaned back slightly, his confidence shaking, as doubt began to replace the certainty he always relied on in every decision. He whispered to himself, questioning why she never spoke, never defended herself when he had accused her so harshly before. The answer slowly formed in his mind, and it did not point toward Maya, but toward his own cold and distant behavior. For the first time, Daniel realized that fear inside his house did not come from outsiders, but from the way he treated people within it. And that realization began breaking something inside him, something that power and money had kept hidden for far too long. Daniel stood up slowly, his mind heavy as the footage continued playing, each second exposing a truth he could no longer ignore or deny. He moved closer to the screen again, focusing on another clip where Maya quietly picked up leftover food from the untouched plates. For a moment, it looked exactly like theft, confirming his belief, and his jaw tightened as anger tried to return once again. But within seconds, she walked straight to Robert's room, closing the door gently, protecting him from being seen or questioned. Daniel's expression changed instantly as the truth hit harder this time, breaking the illusion he had built inside his mind. This was never about stealing, it was about survival, about helping someone who could not even lift his own hands anymore. He remembered the day he shouted at Maya, accusing her loudly, not giving her even a moment to explain her side. She had stayed silent that day, her eyes lowered, accepting blame without defending herself, hiding something much bigger. Now that silence echoed loudly in Daniel's thoughts, making his past words feel cruel, careless, and completely unjustified. He clenched his fists tightly, realizing that he had punished kindness while believing he was protecting his own authority. The man who controlled everything had failed to see the simplest truth happening right inside his own house. And in that moment, Daniel understood that the real mistake was never Maya's actions, but his own blindness toward humanity. Daniel slowly stepped back from the screen, his breathing heavier now, as regret began settling deep inside his chest like a weight he could not remove. He replayed another moment where Robert tried to speak, his lips trembling, but no clear words came out from his weak and fading voice. Maya leaned closer instantly, listening with patience, understanding him without full. Years ago, when Daniel had nothing, it was Robert who stood beside him silently, helping him rise without asking for anything back. Now that same man was lying helpless, struggling to even breathe properly, while Daniel had ignored his condition completely. The contrast between past and present burned inside him, forcing him to face a truth he had avoided for many years. Maya had taken responsibility without obligation, caring for someone Daniel owed everything to, but had chosen to forget. Daniel lowered his gaze, unable to look at the screen anymore, as guilt replaced the pride he once carried so confidently. The cameras he installed to catch a thief had instead exposed his own failure as a human being without mercy. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt powerless, not because of money or status, but because of his own mistakes. And deep inside, he knew this was a moment that would either break him completely or change him forever. Daniel took a deep breath and walked quickly toward Robert's room, his steps heavier with every second as guilt pushed him forward. For the first time, he felt nervous to face someone inside his own house, unsure how to stand before the truth he had ignored. He stopped at the door for a moment, his hand slightly shaking, as if he was not ready to see the reality directly. Inside, Maya was still sitting beside Robert, feeding him slowly, unaware that everything had already been seen on camera. Daniel gently opened the door, and both of them looked up, surprise filling the room as silence instantly took over. Maya's face turned pale with fear, expecting anger, thinking her secret act of kindness had now become her biggest mistake. Robert tried to move slightly, recognizing Daniel's presence, but his weak body could not respond the way he wanted to. Daniel stepped closer, his voice softer than ever before, breaking the silence that had suddenly grown heavy in the room. He looked at Maya, then at Robert, and slowly lowered his head, something he had never done in front of anyone before. "I was wrong," he said quietly, his words filled with weight, as if each one carried the burden of his past actions. Maya stood frozen, unable to believe what she was hearing, her fear slowly mixing with confusion and disbelief. At that moment, Daniel was no longer a powerful billionaire, but just a man facing the consequences of his own mistakes. Daniel moved closer to the bed, his eyes fixed on Robert, seeing clearly for the first time how weak and helpless he had become over time. He gently held Robert's hand, his grip careful, as if afraid that even a little pressure might hurt the man who once stood strong. Robert's eyes slowly opened, recognizing Daniel, and a faint smile appeared, filled with warmth and silent forgiveness. That simple smile hit Daniel deeply, breaking something inside him as he realized how easily Robert chose kindness over resentment. Daniel's voice shook as he apologized again, not just for the accusation, but for the years he had ignored him completely. He turned toward Maya and thanked her sincerely, admitting that she had done what he himself should have done long ago. Maya's eyes filled with tears, not from fear anymore, but from relief, as the truth finally replaced the misunderstanding. Daniel asked her quietly why she never spoke the truth, why she accepted blame without trying to defend herself at all. Maya lowered her gaze and answered softly, saying she was afraid he would not listen or believe someone like her. Her words stayed in the air, heavy and honest, forcing Daniel to realize how his behavior had created that fear. He understood then that power without kindness can silence truth, even when it stands right in front of your eyes. In that moment, Daniel made a silent promise to himself that he would never ignore humanity again, no matter the cost. The days that followed brought a quiet change inside the house, as Daniel slowly began correcting the mistakes he had made for years. He arranged proper medical care for Robert, staying involved himself, no longer leaving responsibility to others like before. For the first time, Daniel spent real time beside Robert, listening patiently, trying to understand his broken and weak words. Maya continued caring for Robert, but now without fear, knowing her actions were respected instead of being doubted. Daniel's behavior toward her also changed, treating her with dignity, not as someone invisible, but as someone important. He often watched silently as Maya cared for Robert, learning from her patience, something money could never teach him. Robert slowly showed signs of improvement, and every small progress brought relief and hope into the house again. Daniel removed the hidden cameras, realizing that trust could never grow in a place where suspicion was always watching. He understood that control through fear had only created distance, while kindness slowly rebuilt what he had broken. Maya noticed the difference in him, seeing regret in his actions and sincerity in the way he tried to change daily. For Daniel, every moment became a chance to prove that he was not the same man who once ignored human values. And slowly, the house that once felt cold and controlled began to feel like a place filled with care and connection. One quiet evening, Daniel sat alone, reflecting deeply on everything that had changed, realizing how close he came to losing his humanity. He thought about Maya's silent courage, Robert's forgiveness, and his own blindness that had almost destroyed something truly meaningful. The hidden camera he installed to expose others had instead revealed his own flaws, forcing him to face the truth he avoided. For the first time, he understood that wealth without compassion is empty, and power without kindness has no real value. Maya continued her work with quiet dignity, no longer unseen, but respected for the difference she made every single day. Robert regained enough strength to sit and smile again, bringing warmth back into a house that once felt lifeless and cold. Daniel made a promise to himself that he would never ignore kindness again, no matter where it came from or who showed it. He learned that sometimes the people we doubt the most are the ones who carry the biggest hearts without asking anything. And sometimes the truth we search for outside is already within us, hidden behind pride, assumptions, and fear. That one moment, captured silently on camera, changed everything, turning doubt into understanding and regret into growth. Some stories leave a mark forever, like the video. Subscribe now and be here for the next unforgettable experience.